Well, howdy diddly dandy there, chums. 'Tis I, Captain of the Steves, and today, chums, for you guys out there in the viewerverse, I'm doing a little bit of a talk to screen episode where we're going to be talking about Waypoint and some of the community fallout, because there's been a fair bit of it. So I'm going to be hitting up a Steam sort of review graph in a bit, and I'm going to be giving some of the actual comments over on Steam and why I feel it's probably inevitable that there's probably going to be some sort of changes to what we're currently seeing, or some sort of adaptation, or maybe they're going to be adding new stuff in. Who knows? But I'm seeing a little bit of a disconnect over on Steam. I mean, yes, we're seeing reviews from Nintendo Switch giving it a 9 out of 10. But then we're seeing something very different happening over in the Steam space and with the player community that No Man's Sky has now. Okay. So over on my community tab on YouTube, I've put out a poll. So this one points out that there's 3 different things over on the Steam sort of area that people are pointing out. And I've asked which one of the 3 things need fixing the most. Now what's interesting about this is, yes, we've got people sounding off on which needs fixing the most, but we only got 25% of the community saying don't fix it, happy with the way that it is. Now I'd imagine that 25% of the community that may be happy are maybe base builders, because now they can build in every single game mode and it's quite easy to do so, or those that are playing in permadeath and survival, because you can actually tweak that and make it harder, or you can make it slightly easier, and it's quite nice doing that way. And plus people that play sort of survival and perma, their main focus is to survive, isn't it? Whereas I feel kind of the people that were in normal mode are those that like to do the completionists, like to get all their milestones done, like to get all their catalogue filled, and like to do everything that they can and have a nice relaxing time with it, and they like to feel a sense of achievement. But then some of these new modes, or the ability to access the God menu right from the off in normal mode, doesn't make much sense to them, because it takes away that sense of achievement. And it did for me. This is my whole gripe. That's my biggest gripe, is the switching of modes. But I am going to be touching on the min-maxers as well. So there's a lot of min-maxers out there that like to get every single number as high as they can in game, and I fully understand that too. So I've got ideas on how we can fix that. All that's to come in the actual video to later on. But this is just focusing on community feedback on my community tab with the polls that I've done. So this is the first poll. There's a second poll as well. And then we're going to be jumping over to Steam to see what's happening over on Steam with the graph and the numbers and the comments that are happening over there. So although that I've put this poll out, you can see where my way of thinking is coming from. This is what the community is saying. Oh, something to note is it's actually on sale on Steam, 50% off until the 20th of October. Wonder if something might be coming around the 20th of October. That'd be nice after the Twitch drops. Interesting. Another video on the way. Anyhow, here's the graph, and you can see here around the 7th of October, when the new update come out, you've got a load of positive reviews, but then you've got equally as many negative reviews. And on some days you've got more negative reviews than positive reviews. And when you look at the top headers there, it says mostly positive throughout the year overall, and then recent reviews mixed. If this continues as a trend, it's going to upset that in the algorithm of Steam, and it's going to be a mixed review. And that's something that I really don't want to happen. So that's why it's important that we start addressing this now, because if we let this run, it's going to affect the overall rating of No Man's Sky. And if that happens, and then you just see mixed reviews when you go on Steam to get this game, people are going to go, oh, do I really want to get it? No, I'll wait for the sale, or no, I'll get something else. You know, people look at reviews, and this feedback, this is how I built that poll that you just saw. So I've looked through all the comments here. I actually made a little Excel graph, and I was like, okay, there we go. And there was so many that were for the switching of menus. The tech is the biggest. The tech, that's got the most complaints. The people that felt that they've pushed their numbers up, the min-maxers basically, the people that have done their ships to the 9s, their multi-tools to the 9s. Because you've got to think about it, these people that have done all that, and they've got their multi-tool OP, they've got their exosuit OP, they've got their ship OP, they didn't need a god menu. Because they are a freaking god. They can just walk the park in it. But they've earned the right to do that. And then someone adds in a bloody switch to activate God mode. And not only that, then goes and nerfs all their tech. I mean, that does not make any sense, does it? You nerf the tech and give God mode. Sounds like saying, pull up yours, you've been playing and you've earned the right to have all this OP stuff, yet no, we're going to take it away from you. Not only that, now other people can just hit a switch and become invincible. Then what the fudge is that all about? So right then, okay, so I touched on this earlier, just loosely, but you see throughout the year it's been mostly blue with a little bit of orange, and it's been mostly positive. Now it's moving to mixed. If we let this trend go on, then that over on the left there, that mostly positive, will also change to mixed. So I feel that the window of opportunity for Hello Games to turn this around is relatively slim, but you are seeing the slight decrease in the orange curve there, aren't you? But anyhow, if you've got feedback of your own, feed it back into Hello Games, yes? And there's a really good video on my community tab that talks about how Sean Murray goes about responding to communities. Anyhow, back to this. So I put out another poll on tech. So this is focusing on all of those people that like the min-maxing type stuff and how we could go about improving it. And I've put out some ideas there. Now, option 3 on that list is a right out winner with 36%. Allow 6 depending on class. This is just focused mainly on ships, not so much on multi-tools or the exosuit. But I will touch on that in my ideas for improvement as we move on in this video. So stay tuned, people, because all of the ideas to fix this are coming up soon. And if you'd like the ideas, what I would say is get this video and share it. Share the fudge out of it, and hopefully Hello Games is going to see it. In fact, submit it on their Zendesk even. Just get them to see it, or get this out in the community, get it trending, and hopefully we might be able to get some of this implemented, which would be freaking nice. So a lot of people there are saying, yes, that option 3 sounds good. So that option 3 is class of ship dependency on which ships can have the 6 slots. So before you could put sort of, 6 technologies of the same module in there before it broke when you put the 7th in. Now you can only put 3 in, and when you go to put the 4th in, the technology breaks. But what I was thinking is, say like explorers, they might be able to have the 6 warp modules plugged in. Whereas the exotics might be able to have 6 of the launch thrusters put in, and maybe going through black holes doesn't break their tech or something. So ship perky type stuff. So now, moving on to the ideas. This is where the ideas start, people. Yes, so we'll touch back on that ship stuff in a bit and I'll go into more detail. But for right now, I just want to point out that Hello Games have implemented something with the missions agents now. I don't know whether this was in one of the patches or something, but now when you go to run a mission, sometimes you can come across multi-tool expansion slots, you can come across ship augmentation slots, and you can come across exosuit expansion chart maps inside of here. So yeah, it's pretty darn cool. So check out your missions agents inside of the station and just see if you've got one of the missions there. At the moment, you can see that I've got multi-tool expansion slot that's just appeared there. So there we go, multi-tool expansion slot is there right now, which is pretty darn cool. So if I ran that mission, I'd get that. But I went to a lot of stations, and I'm just going to put some up on screen right now so you can see what else I saw. So up there you can see storage augmentation for a ship. You can also see the exosuit unit upgrade chart, which takes you to a drop pod so you can expand your exosuit. Another one with a multi-tool expansion there, a couple with multi-tool expansions there, and storage augmentation for ship. And another one there for the charts for the drop pod. They're relatively common with these mission agents. So then I was thinking to myself, well, if you can get all the expansion slots from normal missions, what about the Quicksilver missions? So Quicksilver missions, what about if the secondary thing here, rather than it being nanites or units or whatever, gave you an S-class module for upgrade, but you could get a 1-star, a 2-star, or a 3-star S-class module. Now a 1-star would be like the ones you can buy in the shop, but then with maybe a 50% increase, a little tweak with the stats. So it's like 1.5. A 2-star would be double what we could have before. And a 3-star is triple. So even more OP than what we were originally. But the drop rate is freaking infinitesimal, like 1 in 200 or something mental. So running Quicksilver missions, everybody would be doing them because they want to try and get those super rare free class S-class modules. Oh, they'd be freaking ecstatic if they get one. But I'm also thinking this chap Ares up here, at the moment he sells an assortment of A-class or B-class and C-class modules. What if all the modules that you've repackaged and you put back into here, you could take them to this chappie, give them to them to be reappraised, and maybe pay something like Quicksilver or nanites or whatever, to have them reappraised. And maybe they might become a 1 or a 2 star, but they've never become a 3 star. Okay, so hopefully all this sort of stuff that we've got repackaged from the actual update we can take to get reappraised and hopefully get some 2 stars back, which are doubly as good. That way we can install them and still be as OP as we were before this actual update come out. I think that's a really cool idea, having the star system on these. So yeah, so when we was doing the 1616 podcast, Scottish Rod mentioned maybe having exotic classes of modules, which I really like the idea of, and that's what got me thinking about this slightly. Anyhow, back to ships and how we can have the ships to maybe have allowance of 6 slots. So I think fighters, they should be allowed to have up to 6 modules of a certain weapon type, or you know, any weapon. All weapons you can have 6 modules rather than the 3. Maybe they can only have 2 though of the shields, perhaps, you know, because then it's more of a sort of one-hit kill type machine, you know, which people wanted. But there's like, make it a bit of a glass cannon so it can take the damage and it's probably going to die. I just think that right now is a good chance for Hello Games to make ships feel different from one another by just rebalancing things. So fighters, yes, maybe they only allow 2 shields and they can have 3 weapons. That'd be quite cool. Yeah, so let's move on to another ship. Let's go into the Explorers. Bring up the Explorer. Lovely. I do like my Explorer. It's freaking lovely, isn't it? But anyhow, oh, they've renamed all my ships. Okay, fine. Right, so at the moment, you can see here, I can't have 6 weapons in. This is what happens. It breaks the tech. But I'm thinking the hyperdrive range on these should be a 6-slotter. And maybe maneuverability, maybe on the Explorers, you can take up to 4. You know, so there's certain thresholds for different ships where it breaks the tech. But yes, hyperdrive on Explorers, because they're an Explorer, I feel should be a lot higher than any other ship class. So warp drives when it comes to the Explorer. Yeah? Awesome. So now let's move on to another type of ship. The exotic. So this one I'm on the fence on. What would you do with the exotic? I'm thinking perhaps maybe let it so you can put 4 in on everything. So yeah. There's nothing that goes up to a 6 though, but it's 4 right across the board, making this an all-rounder. So it's a better than most in every regard, but it's a jack of all trades is what I'm thinking. And maybe the tech doesn't break when you fly through a black hole or something. So yes, with the exotic being a higher grade of technology, you know, it's freaking exotic. Yeah, maybe you don't have to refuel its launch thrusters at all. You know, that would be a lovely little perk for the exotic as well, wouldn't it? Now, living ships, I also think should be able to fly through black holes and not break the tech. But I also think they should have a scanner in there to pick up maybe the Leviathan-y type ships as well, so you can find organic frigates to build out your frigate fleet a little bit easier. And maybe have an anomaly detector sort of signal receiver so you can find anomalies in space as well with these guys. And yeah, I think they should be reduced down to 3 of everything. But I also feel that there might be some sort of way of boosting these in other regards, like finding nested planets on scanning as well inside of the verse, so you can find the corruption easier, because the corruption seems to be growing. So I feel that they need to be linked to whatever's happening with this infestation that we're seeing going on, and organic type stuff. And at the moment it doesn't say organic chamber either, it just says technology. I wish they would change that back as a little thing. Righto, so now on to the solar ship. So with the solar ship, I think these ones, because they're mainly found in pirate systems, should divert scanners, just deflect them anyway. I don't think you need to have a scanner in these things for that sort of stuff, but I think the maneuverability on these should go up to a 6. So you can turn on a freaking hat pin. These are for escaping horrible situations and maneuverability through the 9s, and have like that escape emergency warp thing already installed as well, you know? Haulers, I feel, should have extra storage. I know we've already got freaking shed loads of storage now, but I think we should have more storage. I think this cargo scan should automatically deflect. You shouldn't have to go in and select it on the menu. You should be able to use this for smuggling, is basically what I'm thinking. And also elaborate on the shields. So I think shields within inside of a hauler, you can put all the way up to having, you know, 6 inside of shields to make them a complete tank of a freaking unit. And maybe decrease the warp drives to maybe only having 2 in there or something, a little bit like, you know, with the fighters with shields. So yeah, get a little bit of balance going on inside of the haulers. And so they are mainly used to jump maybe small system jumps because it's a heavy load, so you can't engage warp and jump frickin' miles. Just doesn't make sense because you're full of stuff. Shuttles, I feel, should be more run for flying down to planets. So maybe on warp only have one on the warp drive. But again, you can take off and land as many times as you like. Sod all this launch thruster stuff. You can just take off and land whenever you want. I'd also like to see a little mini mobile scrapping unit in this. So if you do land next to a crashed ship, you can fire it up and it will come up and say, do you want to scrap the ship that's in nearby proximity? Hit yes, scrap that crashed ship on the fly. So you don't need to use up another ship slot just to do ship scrapping. So if you're a ship scrapper, the shuttle is the ship for you. Yes, and maybe have a scrap sort of area of cargo where all the scrap goes as well as an additional storage capacity for the shuttle. I think that could work nice. So now for one of my little pet peeves, a little niggle, but it's still there, and it's there on the actual Steam feedback as well. Didn't score too highly, but it's there. And this is the fiddly sort of navigation inside of your actual inventory. And yes, you've got these little pidgets down the side to automatically cluster things or highlight them. It just highlights them, it doesn't cluster them. But it'd be nice if you held down on here, maybe a little wheel goes around like we used to, and it goes ping, and everything moves to a different area and sort of bundles together, almost like Tetris. Kaboom, kaboom. So you can automatically stack individual areas if you want to, bring it to the top of the list. To save you from having to scroll all the way down, it just brings it to the top, into your focus range. Or maybe add a sort of like a massive button there to auto sort everything. Can you just hold it down, boom, and it does it right across all your inventory. So your freighter, your ship, your exosuit, everything just auto sorts and bunches everything together into those little filters, but puts it together like some sort of Tetris thing. Or have an ability on this screen just to have a switch that says tab mode, on or off. You hit on, you get your tabs back. Off, you've got the scrolls. So people, now this one is the big one for me. This is the God mode menu in normal mode. I mean, normal mode should be normal. What's normal about having a freaking God menu in normal mode? Nothing. So anyhow, I feel that you should get the God menu as a perk, unless you're using custom mode. So if you fire up custom mode on the main title screen, you get all the settings come up anyway. You set them all there, that's fine, that's great. Custom mode, you can have all your settings and all the settings that you want, but you can only join other people in custom mode. I think that makes a lot of sense. However, in normal mode or creative or any other mode, if you fire up, survival, you've got to get all the way to the end. You've got to follow the Atlas path. And once you've got all the way to the end of the Atlas path and you've actually got yourself your remembrance seeds or whatever it is, I'll bring it up in a moment on the screen because I thought I'd lost mine. I found how to get it back because some lovely person in my comments let me know how to get it back. So I'll show you how to get it back in a moment. But once you've gone and done the Atlas path and you've gone all the way through and you've gone through to the end and then you spawn on your new planet in your new galaxy and your ship is smashed to fudge, maybe it pops up and says, this is a simulation. As you know, you just reset the simulation. We have given you God mode over the simulation. You now have more control to shape your own destiny. And then the menu unlocks. And it says, your ship is broken. You can use this menu to fix your ship. So it's like a new game plus. That's something that's been lacking. I mean, at the moment, you get to the end of the galaxy. Congratulations, well done. You've done all this stuff. Guess what? Your ship's broken to fudge and you're knackered now. And there's not much you can do about it apart from start over. Anyway, so these are the remembrance seeds and so forth and so on. So on your tech at the bottom, the grey ones, it's going to be one of the ones that hasn't got an S on it or whatever, or a C or a B or whatever. It's just going to be blank. Just go through them and you should find your remembrance seed. But once you've got your remembrance seed, you can actually read the actual blurb on here and it says, yes, now you remember everything, blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah. That's when you activate God mode, and it comes up with a separate tutorial on how to use these difficulty settings and how you can just swap from mode out on the fly, and you can do that on your save as you see fit. At least then it hasn't broken your chance of getting trophies and all that sort of stuff and waypoints. At least you've done it once the correct way all the way through. Okay, so chums, I based all of these ideas on the polls that I did and off of the comments that I saw over on Steam. Now, I was very much on the fence when this update first dropped, as you know. I've done a whole video on my thoughts and how they've sort of progressed through the last few days on being in the side of this update. I'll put a link in the top right hand corner. Go check that video out to give this a bit more context, but at the same time, I don't like to present problems without presenting solutions. I'm very much into doing ideas for No Man's Sky and speculation on where things may go. So this video I've thoroughly enjoyed doing, and I really hope it gets to the eyes and ears of the Murray, of the Sean of the Murrays over at Hello Games. So please, like I say, share this video if you've enjoyed it and if you think it makes logical sense. And until next time, goodbye, and goodbye again, people in the viewerverse. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit a like and a subscribe, and I'd like to say a massive great big thank you to all of my backers over on Patreon and over on YouTube membership. Thanking you, backers! And if you want to support this channel, just don't skip the adverts. That throws revenue down my avenue. Or yeah, just stay with Captain Steve that little bit longer and hit something on this screen. There's merch here now too.